Things we wish Jesus hadn't said. My name is David Madison. This is the 15th of April, 2019, and this is episode 2 in a series of flash podcasts on that topic. Mark Twain said that the best cure for Christianity is reading the Bible. So let's take a look and see why Mark Twain was absolutely correct. In 2014, a Pentecostal minister by the name of Jamie Cooch died of a snakebite wound. It had been his custom to handle poisonous snakes during worship services. Now, we all know for sure that if you walk into any Catholic church, Presbyterian, Lutheran, Methodist, you will not find the ministers handling poisonous snakes. Where in the world did Jamie Cooch get the idea that that was a good idea? Who taught him that? Well, it turns out that it was Jesus. Not Jesus preaching routinely in Galilee, for example, but the risen Jesus, the resurrected Jesus. What better authority do you want than that? And here is the exact text as it appears in Mark 16, verses 16 through 18. The one who believes and is baptized will be saved, but the one who does not believe will be condemned. And these signs will accompany those who believe. By using my name, they will cast out demons, they will speak in new tongues, they will pick up snakes in their hands, and there's the text that Jamie Cooch took literally, and if they drink any deadly thing, it will not harm them. They will lay their hands on the sick, and they will recover. And right after this, Jesus ascended to heaven. These were the last things that he said to his disciples. Christianity is jeopardized, Christianity is victimized by some of the weird things that we find in the Gospels. There are 3 points I want to make about this text. First of all, it's very unlikely that these words came from Jesus. Why do we say that? Because the Gospel of Mark ended originally at verse 8 of chapter 16. We're told that the women who came to the tomb were terrified because the body wasn't there, and they fled, saying nothing to anybody. End of story, end of gospel. But some people obviously were not pleased with this abrupt ending. It left too much up in the air, so someone invented verses 19 through 20. We don't know who it was, when, where. We don't know the sources other than probably his creative imagination. It bears all the hallmarks of religious fantasy literature. The second point I want to make is this really isn't very good religion, is it? These 5 things that believing Christians are supposed to be able to do. If this was the last thing that Jesus taught his disciples before he descended into heaven, why didn't he go back to some of his great teachings? Love your enemies. Love your neighbors. If you're about to worship at the temple and are not reconciled with somebody, leave your gift at the altar, go be reconciled before you ask God to forgive you. Forgive 70 times 70. This is much better religion. That someone could add these bizarre verses to the Gospel of Mark is a pretty good clue that there was a heavy cult flavor to early Christianity, especially that line about, if you do not believe, you will be condemned. That's typical cult playbook stuff. And the third point I want to make is, look how easy it was for people to tamper with the Holy Bible. The documents have been altered countless times, and we don't even have any of the original documents of either the Old Testament or the New Testament. What was the value of God inspiring the Bible if he didn't take precautions to protect the text as it was passed along during the centuries? It was left vulnerable to copying errors. It was left vulnerable to additions made intentionally by copyists. And the damage was done, especially in the case of Mark 16, verses 9 through 20. Those verses remain for people to be influenced, people like Jamie Cooch. So for those Christians who want to argue that the Gospels tell the true story of Jesus, that they do not lie, we have to add these verses to the long list of things we wish Jesus hadn't said.